Hello and welcome to Talking Pictures Podcast. I'm your host David and joined with me as always my co-host Brian. Brian, how are you today?
Don't push your friends on the road.
Don't push your friends on the road?
Yeah.
From
the footpath.
From the footpath. Okay, that's
Yeah.
good advice. He's going to do advice from now on at the start of every episode.
Well, you see, I was driving on the road and I just see two youngsters in the distance. One, I'm going to guess 14, the other one 12. One bigger, larger, and the other one slim and smaller. Definitely the weaker of the two.
Pushed him out on the road.
Pushes him out on the road, kind of, after he saw I was oncoming.
Did you stop or swerve or what you do?
I slowed down.
Okay.
And now he pushed him far enough to haha, I'm only messing, you know. But he still full on pushed him. You know, he didn't fall to the ground, but still pushed him. And I slowed down and I gave him the biggest, thickest, angriest look I could give a kid, to the point where I hope he's going to reflect to himself internally and feel
I don't think so.
very shitty and shameful about himself.
No.
Because
When you're that age, you don't take that on board.
oh yeah.
You just laugh about it.
I was in a hurry, so I didn't have time to stop, reverse, roll down the window, and call him out for his incompetence and idiocracy and cluelessness as a young, dumb hooligan.
Of his attempted murder. Is close to manslaughter here.
Oh, and because I reacted to his tomfoolery,
Yeah, it's
he gave me a dirty look back, thinking, what are you going to do? What am I going to do?
I'll run you over. I'll run you over. I'm the one with the car.
Payback, bitch.
Well, listen. I'm glad you didn't kill anyone on the way here.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'm glad that you didn't kill anyone on the way here, but at least it's kind of fitting as we talk about our first ever triple bill of horror. We're going to be talking about 3 different horror films we've seen kind of over the last month that we thought they do deserve all their own episodes, but we just don't have time in the schedule.
Yeah,
So
we have to allocate time for the likes of Argyle and The Exorcist Believer and and the movies that are coming out for this year, of course, you know.
yeah, well, sometimes stuff comes out and it's like, okay, what's this week? It's just Argyle. And then the next week it's 4 different things and you want to cover all of them. So
Now, to be fair, some of these movies we went into on the belief that they're not going to be that great. When we see one, Jesus, that was great. And then we see another, Jesus, that was great. And then, say it with me, we go into the third one and,
Jesus, that was great.
and we just realise, Jesus, they were great.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about them?
It's nice when you watch a film, we turn to each other and go, okay, yeah, no, we want to do that.
Yeah.
Because you did that, especially with Poor Things.
Yeah.
Like, you kind of
yeah.
shift the schedule around in order to accommodate.
I shifted it as well.
So we're here to talk about 3 different horror films we've seen over the last month. So we're going to be talking about Immaculate, Abigail, and The First Omen. So 3 films that are all very, I don't know if you'd agree with me, different types of horror, different genres of horror. But 2 of them kind of nearly involve a similar setting.
Yes, however, one of those, of the 2, belongs to a franchise.
Yes.
The other one is considered an indie horror. So that's nice.
Yeah, I describe them as a supernatural horror, that being Abigail, a religious or spiritual horror, that being The First Omen, and then more of a psychological horror, and that being Immaculate.
Yeah. Now you can throw a few extras in there as well, such as comedy horror for Abigail, but you can also throw religious horror in Immaculate as well.
Yeah, but I'd say
I would throw paranoia in one of 2 of those other ones as well.
it's just an easier way to kind of maybe differentiate them or identify them.
Yeah.
Whereas where The First Omen is very much like religious, and it is about obviously the Omen, the first Omen. The Immaculate is
Well, it's the opposite of
kind of the opposite.
Yes,
really,
yeah, definitely. It doesn't matter if you go on the side of Christ. Not too popular over there either.
No,
at least the devil knows what he's doing.
Yeah. So we'll jump into it then. So we're going to talk about Immaculate first.
Yeah.
So you want to talk us a little bit through Immaculate there?
Immaculate is starring Sydney Sweeney, who...
The it girl at the moment.
It girl at the moment, yeah. She or Madam Web, man. Oh.
Madam Web.
Table dancing, man.
Anyone but you.
She was popularising Euphoria. I know her as Euphoria. Watching her in this movie made me finally go, yeah, she's no longer just the girl from Euphoria. No longer is Zendaya the only name establishment of Euphoria.
They've got a few now. You've got
oh yeah,
her, Zendaya, Sydney Sweeney, and I'd even argue Jacob Elordi.
I would throw him in there as well. And Storm Reed's on the up and up as well. Yeah, sure. Coleman Domingo's on the up and up as well. He's
in it. I've not seen it, so
he's in a few episodes. He's actually a really good character. Hunter Schafer.
Oh yeah. She's in Cuckoo, and she was in Hunger Games as well. Yeah, there's a lot of people actually that have been coming from that.
I'm probably not going to get season 3.
I've seen reports of it where it's like they keep pushing it off, and that's kind of what nearly is pushing me off watching the first 2 seasons.
They're supposed to shoot in Ireland.
Oh really?
Yeah, in a nightclub. It was supposed to be a scene. It was supposed to be not as many of the characters returning for a 3rd season, but it was after college, and we're not supposed to talk about Euphoria. We're supposed to talk about Immaculate.
Sorry. Yeah.
So you told us the story that Sydney Sweeney auditioned for this role, eventually moved on to other things. Whatever happened to this project? Nothing came of it. Went to the writers, negotiated, and bought the script, bought the rights. Got her friend who directed Voyeurs, that Colin Farrell I think was in, or Ty Sheridan. Never saw it. No intention to. But got that director come over here to direct this for her, and a performance she delivered for this. So it's about a young woman who aspires to be a nun and is relocated to Sicily, Italy.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, southern Italy, working a convent. Was it all girls or?
I know, female. Yeah, just have it,
yeah. Look after the old and all that. What do you expect happens?
Immaculate, let me think. She gets pregnant. The worst thing that can happen to a nun.
And what's worse, the Son of God did it.
The Son of God. Oh my Jesus.
So we have limited time to talk about these movies, so let's try and punch to the chase, shall we? She gets pregnant because she was handed a nail.
No, she's artificially inseminated. Yeah, they were able to take DNA from the nail, one of the nails that crucified Jesus.
Yeah.
And
that some say has his blood on it.
Yeah, so they were able to, I guess, reverse engineer his genetics. And then when she was passed out, when she was down, and I think she passes out, and then she has a vision of the nuns in the red masks.
Yeah.
They artificially inseminate her there. So
right.
It wasn't as simple as touching the nail and she was pregnant. It was very
unless a
much
person would have thought that, David.
Well, one of the two of us just thought about that. But yeah, no. Then all of a sudden,
and you see, the thing is, she gets now ridiculed for not appearing to be as innocent. You know, did you mate with a man? She says, no. Well, there must be. It's a miracle.
Yeah, only thing it could possibly be. Yeah.
No other logical explanation. No other foul play at the foot. So she's now this little darling princess.
She's treated as the next Mary. Like she's walking around the convent. She's not lifting a finger. She's being well looked after.
There's other nuns who are jealous of her because it was supposed to be her. And that was the first sign where, what do you mean it's supposed to be her? There are multiple attempts at this then.
I think it's a mixture of the it was supposed to be me in terms of like, was it another attempt, or is that something that nuns believe? Because nuns technically, like, they are married to Jesus. Like when they take their vows and stuff, they're marrying Jesus. So
my boy Jesus,
he's got a lot of women on the go. But I would assume that if you were a nun, that you would hope to be the next Immaculate Conception, that God would bless you with that. So I think that maybe that was in play, like on a spiritual level, like it should have been me. You think that you are the most holy, you are the most devout. And
when she knew she wasn't, she threw herself off a roof.
Yeah, that's, I think when nuns are in play, any kind of weirdness is like extra weird. It's heightened.
Yeah, because they're not supposed to do that. They're supposed to be the carers. They're supposed to be the protectors. They're not supposed to be cutting out your tongue.
Yeah, they're supposed to be the sane ones.
Or breaking your leg from the gate. Just see the four of them just in formation.
Yeah, at the very start.
Yeah, they're like very sinister looking. And then when Sydney Sweeney starts to sense the tomfoolery going on in the in the convent,
she sees one of her friends pushing another one out onto the road.
Yeah, so she realizes that even maybe her doctor doing the examination on her belly bump, maybe not being so honest, suspecting that the father of the convent is not being as honest, so no allies.
Yeah, and like that, yeah. There's no allies within the convent. She's come from America to Italy. She doesn't speak the language, or she's at least attempting to.
Yeah.
Then her only friend in the convent is taken away when they kind of speak out.
Yeah, when she speaks out, she's then taken away. Just very on the spot. Nothing to it. And now it's like she's got the barrier of the language. She's pregnant. And she's on her own. She's at multiple disadvantages. So, cut to the chase. She tries her first attempt to escape. And I didn't get this at first until it was revealed, as the director did so. Oh, she's bleeding, she's got blood all over, and then the father is facing the dilemma of taking her to the hospital or not, because...
The father is the priest. Because the father is Jesus Christ.
Yeah. The priest. I suppose the villain of the movie. The hot priest, if you will. Cut to then taking her into the car, and then you see the mother nun, the head nun, praying, and then touching contact with all the blood that she's... And then tastes like chicken blood.
She realizes, this is familiar. This doesn't quite seem like pregnancy blood.
So Sydney Sweeney, who was sensitive to chopping the head off a chicken at the start of the movie when going through the routine of working at the convent, cut the head off a chicken, stuffed it in herself to make it look like she was hemorrhaging blood and the baby was at risk. Therefore, yeah, could have hid the chicken better. The corpse of the chicken could have disposed of the body better, because she would have gotten to the hospital.
But see, I think it's that she's so out of control of everything that she's not fully thinking straight, maybe. It shows the difference, because earlier on they're being shown how to kill the chickens.
Yeah.
And she can't do it. And now it's like, okay, I have to do this in order to get a chance to do it. But it's not rigorously thought out. It's not meticulously planned of every single aspect of the plan to get out of here. It's, right, how can I get out of here? And it's even like... Does he get a phone call? And she says, he
gets a phone call, and we know the head nun is talking to him over the phone, and we see his reaction, learning that she's pulling a loose one on him.
Yeah, she's fine, and then she's just running.
But like, I like how she's still trying to keep up the facade while she's being anxious. Ow, and then she screams, runs out to the car, and it's just that long shot of her sprinting across the field on her own, thinking, has she gotten away? She's gotten away. Because you lingered on her on her own in that wide shot for a bit, and then you're dollying, following her, revealing that the two lads are literally a foot behind her. Grab her, pull her back, trap her in the convent, burn her feet with the crosses. She then, as well as us, the audience, we are then informed what's happened. The expedition. Exhibition or
exposition.
Exposition.
Yeah.
Okay, so care to tell us what the exposition is in? I can't pronounce it.
So yeah, then it's revealed to us what happened, that he has used science to get the DNA from the nail, and had her conceive the baby. So
and she is the first successful one.
Yeah, because they go kind of through his like underground lab, and you can see previous attempts, and they're all deformed.
Yeah.
But this one seems to be the healthiest now, the best chance that they have, and it is technically, on a technical level, the son of Jesus. But is it? Even if it were, we won't spoil the end. But even if it were to be born, would it be a holy?
Because it was forced. There was man-made manipulation enforced on the process of it being done. They're forcing it. It's human-made.
Yeah.
So there's nothing to it. Like there's that. It's like they don't have the full resources, so they're just using what the scraps they have to pull off this man-made miracle.
And as well as that, like the baby is born. It doesn't automatically make it a holy baby just because it's from the DNA of.
But it's all the religion. And the belief that
believe it, yeah.
And so now she's trapped in the convent. And, I'm watching this movie and I'm thinking, if this movie goes one way, I'm just not going to enjoy it. Because we've watched this movie, we followed her on this journey of horror and terror that we want her to get out. Because we're rooting for her, right?
Yeah.
You have to be something wrong with you if you're not rooting for her. And I liked how these next few scenes were executed. She knows... the high priest, the old man, the bishop, who was, let's call him the bishop, the old man who stands in the balcony of the convent, and the young hot priest and the mother head nun. Why is it she, the head nun, removed her straps and the nun was praying? This was before her water broke. Because somehow the nun was distracted. Sydney Sweeney grabs the cross and literally clocks the head off her. And I felt such a straighten up on my back. Fucking go.
Yeah, here we
Bash the head off her. Smash her brains in. Pump the blood out of her skull. Kill her. Because I don't like these type of villains. They're the worst. I think these are the worst type of villains. And so killed her. Great. You're still walking with your burnt feet. You're heavily pregnant. You're weak. You're tired. You're still on your own. You're barefoot. Oh, your water just breaks. And I like how that was sort of done humorously. And then she goes in and she kills the big old man bishop, the architect of the whole thing, I guess.
Yeah,
strangles him with his own beads.
Yeah.
How do you like that?
Yeah, come here. I think if you're Sydney Sweeney and you finally have a chance, I think you're justified.
Yeah.
Anything that you do right now, you're justified because you are escaping.
And then
no one's faulting you now for killing people. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, you've earned it now. Okay.
And then she's just trying to escape, and then remember she trapped the priest in the lab, and then she burnt him.
Fire.
That was great.
Except that doesn't get him.
No,
finish him.
it just worsens him very much. And then the catacombs, the tombs, going around getting lost. And I like how setting up a jump scare, but that doesn't come. Quite a lack in them. Like there might be the odd few here and there, but I thought they didn't rely on them.
No, I hate when films like this, and I didn't do this, so I'm not saying this film, but films in this vein do the jump scares where they rely so heavily on the music. The music builds and builds and builds and builds, and then nothing. You're lured into this false sense of security, and the music stops, and you're like, whew, and then like the camera just like moves ever so slightly, and then a huge boom, and you're like, the music is relied on to jump on, to get you scared, as opposed to the imagery on screen.
Yeah.
So I'm really glad that Immaculate didn't fall into those trappings.
Yeah.
And what they showed was actually genuinely scared, or like using the darkness or using shadows and stuff like that.
And then
in the catacombs we have the
Scarface comes up and grabs her, and then
even before that we find some of the bodies of the girls that
they tried on before. Even her friend
that was taken away,
which apparently I thought just got her tongue out, but I didn't think she actually died. But yeah, she died, and then she gets stabbed in the belly because the priest is going to remove it. But then what does she use to stab him? His cross or a piece of glass or what?
Can't remember exactly what it was, but she gets away anyway.
She stabbed the shit out of him and she murders him till there's blood all over her face, and then squeezes through a hole into the back of a castle in a field. She's free. We believe she's free. She's away. Her water still broke. And then we have probably the shot of the movie.
The final take.
Yeah, the final take. Literally a final take of a good few minutes where it's very contained to like 3 different positions. It's like a 2.5 minute maybe shot of her just raw performance, delivering the screams that she has to. Now the camera is up close to your face. You don't have a wide shot on this. You don't have a sense of distance.
No. Yeah, they don't rely on the gore or like the shock of
pushing the baby,
giving
birth.
It's very much
on her face.
Sydney, this is your now moment here. You perform this and you make us believe that you are by yourself, covered in blood and giving birth. And I think she pulls that off spectacularly. Like genuinely, I was kind of really recoiling. I'm like, oh man, this is tough to watch. And all it is her
her
reacting.
face, her face, her reaction, her scream, up her eyes, her roar. And then goes birth, and then we don't see the baby.
No.
We see it out of focus, and we see it's not the normal colour, and we hear snarling effects. It's not an actual baby cry.
Okay.
I recall hearing snarling effects. It's definitely something with claws and fangs. And
you think so?
I think so. Especially the look on her face. Like, nope. And then she does something that I would argue, off the top of my head, Tarantino would do had he directed this. Because in Tarantino's view, I'm just using him as an example, it's okay to kill your recently birthed demon baby. I don't think it would be lesser that they pull a Rosemary baby to, she's your baby, care to the baby, even though it's a demon. But no, follows her tracking the camera to grab a rock, back over to the baby, smash, cut to black.
Finale.
Yeah.
I didn't think that they were going to go that far. I thought, especially even just the movement in that, I thought when she had the rock, I thought she was going to drop the rock. But the fact that she kind of lifted it over her head and brought it down was much more purposeful.
Yeah, it's like...
I'm killing the baby as opposed to...
I refuse this.
But I think what really was scary about the whole film, right, and I'm leading it back to this now, so I'm not just jumping around, but it's the whole sense of entrapment. And because of the fact that she is entrapped within this convent, she doesn't understand the language. There's no one around her really that's an ally. She's being told that she's this immaculate figure. There's, she's the next Mary, all this stuff. She's even like the scariness of the older, sicker nuns who are, roaming about the halls and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But then as well as that, not only is she trapped within the confines of the convent, but she's kind of trapped within her own body. Her body now is being used as an incubation chamber. And even though she gets away, she would still have this thing to deal with. So I'm really glad that, I know it is, done for storytelling, that, she's escaping and the baby is coming. But the fact that she's able to escape and the baby comes right then and there, she's able to dispose of the baby and she's free in all sense.
Yeah.
She's free from the convent and she's free from this baby. And she then as well, she doesn't want, she could have easily just given birth and walked away.
Yeah.
But there's the chance that they would have found the baby and it was fine and then they get what they wanted, but she denied them of that as well.
Yeah.
So I'm really glad that it's a real good final girl, yes, she's away, she survived, and you kind of really hope that from the rest of her life, the rest of her life's really easy. She just goes home, gets a cup of tea, kicks up the feet, and it's an easy life from now on.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with us with wanting the baby to be killed.
I didn't want the baby to be killed, but I didn't want her to have to deal with the baby, and I suppose that is the only way.
It's a demon baby. It's a complete monster. It'll raise hell on earth, and it's supposed to be from the DNA of Jesus Christ. So, what's up with that?
Yeah, well, I'd have to go back and rewatch the ending because I don't remember the snarls and stuff like that. So.
I definitely remember.
Well, I have it on VOD. Let's watch it now.
No, man, we have other 2 movies to get through.
We'll move on then to our next film then. So moving from the psychological horror into the supernatural, and that being Abigail.
I've known this movie to only be Radio Silence Project for quite a while. I remember, what are the guys who did the 2 Scream movies and Ready or Not doing now here? Radio Silence, what does that mean? It's the name of their company. I once heard, is it a Dracula's Daughter type of movie? Are they trying to redo the Universal Monster thing? Is this the official intellectual property of Dracula and the characters spawned from Dracula and such? Like the Wolf Woman or the Invisible Woman, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I wonder if that, but it was titled Abigail when the trailer was released. And I never knew that this was not only shot in Ireland, but they also used the Guinness Manor House in Dublin to shoot this.
It's funny because we were watching the film and it's kind of at the start, they're driving along by a river, like in a major metropolitan area. And I am looking at it and I noticed this building and I turn to you and I go, that's Dublin. And you're like, what? And I go, yeah, that's the convention centre. That's Dublin. Oh, that's so weird. I wonder why.
Should have copped it was on the opposite side of the road as well.
Should have copped it, but I didn't. And
then
no, the car they were driving.
No.
Oh, it was on the opposite side. Yeah, didn't cop that at all. But it was. I said that's Dublin. That's so weird. And then literally the next shot, they pull into this house, and you go, I've been there. It was so just really weird to be completely taken out of the movie.
Yeah,
because you've been there. You've been to the.
This is definitely a first experience for me where it's strange to imagine the camera setup and the angles of the shots they took and seeing what's there as a prop and a part of the set and what's not. And wow, it's great to get a sense of the environment. Now when characters walk off frame, you know where they are. And
how much of the set was actually in the house?
Insider information.
Inside info.
So when they enter the house, that main building where the stairs are.
Main
and then,
foyer, yeah.
and you have the left and right stairs.
Yep.
That building, that's in the house. The room where the bodies were, where the tub, I think that's in the house, because I remember going for a stroll and I recall, oh my god, this looks so familiar, that room. And then there are a few hallways and a few extra rooms, and even the kitchen, this that was green.
Yeah.
I think that is there as well. I believe the one primary location that was a set that was constructed was the one with the statues.
The library.
Yes, and the one with the library, essentially. I believe that was constructed for that purpose. I don't recall that.
What
being
about
there.
the staircase?
The staircase?
Like where she attacks them, basically.
Where she attacks them?
Yeah.
What scene was that again?
Where Catherine Newton's character gets bitten. When she's kind of coming down the stairs.
That, I think, is part of the house, only because it looks familiar.
Yeah.
Should we say what this movie's about?
Oh yeah, sorry. We're talking. So this film is about a little girl who is kidnapped by a group of
Highly recommend professionals.
a group of misfits. They are no relation to each other. One of your favorites.
I love my misfits.
So you got Melissa Barrera, who is the main character, main female lead.
Yeah.
And she's former
She's
army.
Yeah, she's a medic and she's a junkie.
Yeah. And then she is kind of the
morale, like, I didn't know this was a kid. Only I get to talk to
The moral
kid.
center, yeah.
Yeah, essentially. And then you have the rest of the characteristics profilers.
Yeah, so, you got the hacker in Catherine Newton. She's like the millennial Gen Z.
Coming from a rich folks' home.
Yeah, coming from a rich family, but she's mixed up in all this, for something to do. You got Angus MacLeod, who is the slacker, druggy,
the idiot.
Roadman idiot.
Yeah. Well, actually, I don't know if that's if I should be quick to say the idiot, but definitely.
We'll come back to him.
Well, it's only because Kevin Durand.
Yeah, Kevin, he's the muscle.
He's the muscle, but he is definitely the buffoon.
I would say Angus MacLeod is more of the stoner, like.
Yeah.
That kind of an idiot, as opposed to, what's the guy's name? Is Kevin Durant? He's
Peter
Durant.
No. Peter was the character's name.
His name. Sorry.
But
yeah.
do you want to go for the actor name as opposed to character names? Because Kevin Durant, that's his name.
I'd go with actors because I don't remember their characters' names, because they all have fake names anyway.
Yeah.
But he's more like the Drax of, like, he's not stupid, but he's dumb.
Yeah.
And then you have Dan Stevens, who's the former cop. Who's
the jerk,
the leader. He put the team together almost. And then there is the
guy number 6.
Can't think of his name, but he's the sniper.
He was also a soldier. I like the role he played for what he did. So essentially, I can see why this movie inspired the guys who directed the movie. That this was inspired by the Breakfast Club. And being the Breakfast Club inspired characters, yeah, that's right. This is what it is. Because you have that one scene where they're all drinking at the bar, and then, hey, a bit
another
of
exposition scene.
But I think this one was nicely created. Hey, I bet you $20 you can guess who I am, because it was the stoner Angus MacLeod who was asking these questions. As the stoner idiot doing that.
It wasn't everyone sitting around and giving their own backstories.
Yeah.
It was somebody else guessing it all.
They weren't pulling a Rebel Moon.
No, definitely not.
So yeah, sure, I'll show off. I'll say. She says Angus MacLeod is this guy, you got your wires crossed, and I did cop that because he has a shaved style on his head that I took as a scar. So I took it as he's had brain surgery or something like that.
I think you read into it more than...
Yeah?
Yeah. I think that he was just... That's just who he was. I think that had nothing to do with it. I wouldn't be surprised if that was just what he looked like anyway.
And then you have, of course, Catherine Newton, the millennial who run away from home and all that. And then you used to be a cop, the Dan Stevens, and pretty much giving them all lists and saying who they are without revealing too much about them. And then Angus MacLeod is killed. Now, but I got a sense that, you tried to scare Catherine Newton, who, by the way, was watching cartoons and was enjoying the cartoons she was watching. I like that little thing about it. It's like, rather than having her give a monologue on why she likes cartoons, just have her watch some old cartoons.
Yeah, show it, don't tell it.
And smile. I like that little detail. Shows that she's still a kid. But yeah, and she hits him and like, get out of here, get out of here. I was like, I thought we had something. You were looking at me. I don't know if I'm reading into this too much, but I believe Angus Cloud wasn't all there.
Mm-hmm.
And I suppose that's maybe I took as another factor why I feel bad that he was the first to be killed, brutally, decapitated, off screen. The trailers gave it away, but we don't know what has killed him. And now the 5 members remain and start discussing what this looks familiar to this crime family or crime individual who murdered those who were going to testify against him in a way that he entered from the outside of a high-story building, brutally decapitating them and murdering them and like a bear or and such. And so when Dan Stevens hears that, he's gonna hightail it and leave. He ordered Abigail, when they all see her as the little girl, "Who's your father?" And who did you say the father was?
They give his name, but I can't remember. It's like
I should have it here, but it's not listed. Doesn't matter. They
just credited as the father.
The father. Well, they give the father a name, and he's a well-known individual, but they don't know who he is, but they know what he's capable, and so they up and leave. Turns out that they're locked into the manor. Don't know how those traps were installed there. Those locks and cages were placed there, but okay. So everyone's thinking who could have killed who, because Abigail's still tied up in the bedroom. And so you have Melissa Barrera and guy number 6. I'm just going to respect the individual and cast his name right here. Rickles. Don Rickles. They called him Don after Don Rickles. I like that.
They're all nicknamed after the Rat Pack.
Are they?
Did you not get that?
No.
They're all named after the Rat Pack. When Giancarlo Esposito leaves, he says they're a pack of rats. And then later on in the movie, Kevin Durant's character, he goes, "Oh, Rat Pack, I just got it." Obviously, you only got it now. But yeah, they were called the Rat Pack. There was Sammy, Frank, as in Frank Sinatra, Rickles, Don Rickles, Sammy Davis Jr., Joey Fatone.
I know, I like my fair share of musicians, but there's not been a biopic on them, so...
There has been.
Has there?
Not our level, or sorry, our generation of one.
Sorry.
But there's one, it's starring Ray Liotta, I'm pretty sure.
Let's not get sidetracked.
Sorry, yeah.
I like that Rickles and Joey, Melissa Barrera, perceived as the 2 former soldiers, the morale that they have each other's backs to take the others out because they believe it's them who's killed Angus Cloud. I kind of don't like how gimmicky or tropey this was done. They just turn around from each other, whip the pistols out, slowly go to check out what's 10 feet in front of them. Are you expecting someone to just be in the next room or something like that? Because it feels like, we need her to turn around so we can set up the fact that this guy is going to get his face ripped off because we need her to be there to see that reaction. Okay, let's just have her turn around, take a few feet ahead of herself with the gun pointing forwards, and then she hears a strange noise, and then she turns around, and that's, the general setup of, Rickles, you okay? You okay? He's standing there making a strange noise, not moving. Goes to check him out. Oh yeah, his face has been ripped off. No sign of what did it whatsoever. And it was done in a way that the physics of an individual coming in to do that and leaving, and he's still standing there reacting to the pain, and then collapses.
It also wasn't really consistent with how whatever killed him then kind of reacts throughout the rest of the film. Like, he's killed right then and there.
Off screen almost.
Yeah.
Like, he's attacked off screen.
Whereas everyone else then is able to kind of maybe hold their own against what's killing them.
Because everyone else after that are in the rest of the movie. This is the primary function of the movie with all these characters. Because now you do have Dan Stevens, Kevin Durant, Catherine Newton, and Melissa Barrera, the main cast, essentially, go throughout the movie. And then, I don't know why they're ordering Kevin Durant to go kill Abigail, Alicia Weir.
Yeah, we didn't mention that yet. She's played by Alicia Weir, who's Irish. She's kind of rose to fame with Matilda, and now she's playing Abigail. And I thought she was great. I don't know about you. I thought she was brilliant on this.
Well, I'm sure we'll have plenty of time to talk about Abigail, played by Alicia Weir. But I liked how in this scene that Melissa Barrera is holding her own against the men to stop them from harming Abigail. And while that argument is taking place, Catherine Newton is watching what Abigail is doing. Abigail is acting all right, I've had enough patience.
This little girl routine's over now. It's time to
She breaks.
show my true colours.
She
Dislocates.
dislocates her hands or undoes her bones to slip out of the cuffs. And then she does a ballet pose to cover her face, to shield it. And then she reveals her face. And she's a vampire with scary eyes and sharp teeth. This happens a few times. She jumps on Kevin Durant. She's about to bite him. And she gets a bullet pumped in her forehead. Dead. And then I like how she gets up with a non-emotional reaction. Wipes the wound off her head as if the bullet just disappears inside. And then the teeth, ever visible, ever displayed, cracks a smile. She like a giddy little child. And then that's when we learn in the marketing we knew, but now in the movie we know, they kidnapped a vampire, Dracula's daughter, if you will. And the whole movie is about how they're gonna survive the night, how are they gonna defeat the vampire.
Yeah, it's more so like, how do we survive until we can leave? It's not even like they have their protections against the vampire, but it's not like they're actively going to kill her. It's, okay, how do we survive? Because they're under the impression that they're just there for the 24 hours and then the kidnapped girl is going to be given back and they're getting their money.
Yeah.
And they're under that impression the entire time, because they still talk about that. They're like, all right, I'm out, you can split my money however it is. And they go the whole time thinking it is just a matter of waiting for the doors to be open and they can go again.
Well, obviously that's not the case when they know they've been locked inside.
I felt like they... actually you're
when
right.
they're locked inside, when the cages, we can't get out at all. You see, now I had a little bit of an issue with the fact that we know it was Abigail the whole time. So all this time you're spending and committing to 2 character deaths, and that's a lot for such a small, concise cast in terms of the numbers. You spent 2 character deaths, and it was after that you revealed who the monster was. You know, so we're just waiting for that, and you know, like when we know more as the audience than what the characters know, when that is just a bit too long, it can be like you're just playing a waiting game now.
You're just waiting for the movie to start.
Yes,
you're waiting for the plot to kick in.
And that's when Abigail revealed herself.
Yeah, and then it becomes so much more of a movie that it's...
Oh yeah, the humour kicks in. Dan Stevens, Kevin Durant and Catelyn Newton all go in. Go get some garlic in the kitchen. Comes back, got garlic. Without even looking, that's a bag of fucking onions.
Yeah.
Alright, so we'll keep going and then we'll praise the actor's performance at the end. They all go in to try to attack Abigail, who's dancing with the headless corpse of Angus Cloud, which was revealed in the trailer, so I knew that was happening. I thought this was a bit strange. They all come in with the garlic and the steaks, and I thought, can we just talk about this? Why is she saying that when she has the upper hand? And I understand she can be saying that to toy with them, but the way she delivered that line, I got a sense of concern from her.
I think there's I would say a level of concern of she hasn't quite figured them out yet in terms of their abilities, because it is 3-on-1. Realistically, Kevin Durant, and he did do this later on, he could pin her down.
Oh yeah.
And he does do that later on, so it could just very well be as easy as him pinning her down and someone else stabbing her, that would be her done.
Well, she did get the upper hand in all 3 of them, like driving a stake in Dan Stevens' leg, stabbing the shit of Kevin Durant with his cross, and I forget what else she did to Catherine Newton, but literally sent the 3 of them packing, and she just let them go anyway.
She's toying with them.
She's toying with them.
She's playing with her food, like she says.
And then, Jesus Christ, a stake to the leg, that's like, you're making some consequential decisions here. But
handicap with the characters.
Yeah, but it didn't really do a whole lot, to the movie, so I thought maybe a lesser wound would have been more realistic. But then I like how, now they're splitting up, and I like how intersplicing humour. Kevin Durant goes, I can't find her anywhere. Not that I'm actually looking. We can still hear you on the live comm. So I guess I like those little humorous moments.
There is also something incredibly funny about when he's like this big hulking guy.
Yeah.
And when he's running through the hallways being chased by a little girl in a ballerina costume.
And he's
genuinely afraid for his life.
And I like how that came up, because he's just standing there with a profile position with in the background a black room with the door open, and then you just see her coming in wearing the costume going ahem. And then that's when she chases him, and full on like chases him, and she's like, vampire on my ass, and he closes the door. Haha, I trapped her. Just charges through the door, bashing through it, and then still giving a leap of ballet moves. And then this is when the funniest scene happens, is when she's running on the banister of the stairs and then chasing Dan Stevens, and then this is when they're trying to attempt to jab her to put her to sleep, because that's the only weapon they have against her that was actually effective. And then you have these four people doing their own task to come together to fix this one issue by pinning her to the ground and getting her to sleep. And I like how Abigail was lifting Dan Stevens, and she's fucking flying now. I just like those little comments. And then Catherine Newton got bit, so she's now focused on that. And as you said, Kevin Durant comes and just fucking the last cog in the machine to pin her to the ground. Melissa Barrera grabs the needle, injects her with it, and I want to know how this was done with Alicia Ware's parents on set, giving all the curse words she can. I will fucking kill you, fucking bitch, and fucking I will bathe in your fucking blood. I'm thinking, does my daughter need to say all these curse words in this movie? Like, just think about this 12-year-old girl delivering that line of dialogue, and she really delivered it. I really like that. And then great,
I love when there's a character like that where it's someone so young, 12, they're giving off all these lines, and it's like, yeah, this film is actually 15s. You can't come in and see this film. There's too much cursing in it. It's like, yeah, but I'm the one that cursed. I'm the one that said it. Yeah, no, you can't hear it. I'm sorry. It's just like, I like to think about that. Like, yeah, you cursed so much in this movie, you can't watch it. Yeah. But I'm the one that said it.
And then they've trapped her in a cage, and then we get the next exposition dump, except this is more in the vein of The Usual Suspects.
Yeah, where it's more accurate, more real. Like, why are you all here, really? Yeah.
And then I thought, okay, well, they're just going to trap her here until morning, but still putting in the deal of, if one of you let me out, I'll let you go and kill the rest. And I like how everyone goes to step away, and Dan Stevens has that moment. I thought they were making a plan to get her to convince one of them to let them out in exchange for telling them how to get out. And this is the first time I think Dan Stevens starting to come around, because he was a real fucking dickhead in this movie as his character. And you think, oh, she tells him how to escape, and he's saying, you think I'm that stupid, I'm gonna let you out?
She was smart. She wasn't really sucked in.
No, she was never sucked. She just fucking fires open the cage with her hands. And then this is the second time she was about to bite a character. Just in the nick of time, the character was saved by blasting sunlight at Abigail. Whoa, her hand blew up. Making some consequential decisions here. No going back. No, she can regenerate. Okay.
Well, to a certain level, because obviously we find out a little bit later on, direct sunlight is a killer because of the fact that what was earlier on, Catherine Newton being bitten, that eventually led her to becoming a vampire. Yeah, now, it was a mind-controlled version of a vampire.
But later on, we see how the effects that play out. But you know, the characters are now coming together. Putting the humorous moment. Dan Stevens thinks he's the hero, gonna pull the book out, save the day. No, she lied. But now Catherine Newton and Kevin Durant had a nice little moment before Catherine Newton does become mind controlled and bites Kevin Durant. And you know, they actually did a good job of hyping this dumb Drax profile or character up. I've got people too. Sweet, gentle giant.
Yeah.
And you know,
that's how I saw them.
Yeah.
You could have seen that as a flirtatious relationship or anything like that, but I definitely saw that as like a gentle giant and someone he's looking after. Not so much a found father relationship.
More like a Drax and Mantis type of relationship.
Yes,
even.
Exactly. Yes, that's a great one actually. Yeah, and brother sister almost.
And I thought it was a real good character description or character building when Dan Stevens earlier, when they just found out she's a vampire, grabs him by the neck, says, "You dumb baby, quit whining and go sharpen those pool cubes to make it steaks out of them." Dan Stevens, swiny little guy, grabs the neck of the guy the size and build of Kevin Durant. You think he's gonna just bitch slap him? And
I was expecting that, just like a kind of like, do you see the size of me? Yeah. Do you realise who you're doing this to?
But no, what he does is, okay, don't put your hand on me again. So he's capable of it, but he knows his strength. But then, you know, and I like how this movie pretty much drew out the screen time we had of these characters. And I really actually like Kevin Durant in this. We don't get a whole lot of him and stuff.
What else is he in?
Not a whole lot. He's always that character. He was in a Smoking Aces movie. He was in 2 or 3 episodes of Vikings, which is a complete mistake. But we won't be just talking about him in this. He's playing one of the main apes
in Kingdom, yeah,
of the Planet of the Apes.
When I'm looking at his letterbox here now, his IMDb, the thing I actually know him from is X-Men Origins Wolverine. He plays the Blob.
Yes.
That's where I knew him from.
Yeah, no, I do like that actor. And now I appreciate that they wanted to recreate a TikTok viral scene of, you know, Wednesday had her dance and now Megan had her dance, and you know, they wanted to have Abigail have her dance. But
I didn't think of that until now, but yeah, you're right.
But you see, the thing is, when you're cutting back and forth from Abigail to Catherine Newton in sync too fast for such a prolonged sequence, for almost an unnecessary reason to do it in the first place, I thought you tried, but you tried way too hard. If you had just...
It didn't come across as natural, yeah.
Yeah, I would have preferred a nice dance from Abigail on her own. But if you wanted to really put your own taste on it by mixing the two, great. Don't cut away to the two so much, and don't make it as long, because it was long. And I liked how Catherine Newton, you know, and Abigail has her teeth out on display. It's scary. I actually like the effects of the teeth. But when Catherine Newton has her sharp teeth displayed, it looks goofy. Like, it's just the upper teeth covering her bottom lip, and like she's pretending to be, oh, I think he's dead. Woohoo! Oh, come over here, you know. And then they know she's a vampire, and then that's when she gives chase. And then I like how they use the silver tray to reflect the sunlight, and then blah.
She's gone.
She's gone. She's complete blood. And this is the second time now that Dan Stevens has had a body bag of blood just splat all over him.
When all of this was happening, when like there's so much blood, I feel like I was like, this feels reminiscent of Ready or Not. And then it wasn't until the end where you said that it was done by the same guys. I'm like, okay, yeah. From that scene onwards, I was like, this feels very like that. Even just in terms of
the colour grade of the movie feels like a Ready or Not, and I'm sure they threw in an Easter egg to confirm it's a shared universe or not. But
yeah, I'd say probably somewhere.
But nothing too serious, you know. But at this point, I've liked what they were trying to do with Dan Stevens' character, because when Abigail tried to bite him and Melissa Barrera saved him, you know, his eyes were closed and then he opened one eye to see, am I dead? You know, sort of goofying him up a bit, like making him that type of guy to escape by the skin of his teeth, and then just more blood splat on him. Like, he was a real dickhead, actually unlikable at the start, to then lighting him up and making him become an ally. Because you know that guy at the start of the movie who died sort of off screen, he was the sniper. Don Rickles. Rickles. He was portrayed in the role of being that morale, to be an ally to Melissa Barrera.
Yeah, where you could rely on.
Yeah, so like, and whereas essentially Dan Stevens would be the opposite. But now, by the journey we've been going on, Dan Stevens has been coming around, and now it's them two against Abigail. And then the next scene,
they find a secret passage.
Yeah,
to
find Giancarlo Esposito, who has been reviewing the whole thing. He's been made into a vampire, and he's been forced to work for Abigail. But then he's saying, Dan Stevens, if I bite you, we can both take Abigail out together, and we can take over her empire. And then, while he's gotten Melissa choke held, Dan Stevens says, fuck it, bite me. Bites him, turns him into a vampire. And then, okay, I get maybe why Dan Stevens would have agreed to, okay, yeah, he has a son somewhere, he's coming around from being a jerk to be not that bad of a guy, becoming a trusted ally, almost, in a given situation. I still didn't expect him to turn phase and be an enemy now to Melissa.
No,
because you see, he kills Giancarlo Esposito.
Yeah.
After he says, "Now I have your first kill." Okay, so like, I'm thinking, why do you have to kill her though? Just because he's a vampire, you know?
I thought it was going to be that he was going to betray Giancarlo, and then him and Melissa go together to stop Abigail.
Yes,
but then
yes.
All of a sudden, now Dan Stevens is the bad guy. He wanted all this power.
And the only reason for him being the bad guy after killing Giancarlo Esposito was, I told you not to fuck with me. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, what? You said that at the start of this movie before you even knew there was a vampire involved. Mm-hmm. And forcing Abigail to become an ally to the protagonist, be creating a bigger dickhead villain, you gotta earn that, and this definitely wasn't earned. You know, I thought you did the right thing by, great, we've exhausted the financial rate of Giancarlo Esposito. Kill him. Mm-hmm. And great, because he was going to be a dick anyway. But yeah, I thought it was going to be Dan Stevens as a vampire and Melissa going after Abigail, but no. I just didn't like that altogether, because you were really doing one thing, and then you just, for no explanation, for my sense of satisfaction, turn him into just a dick, because you want Abigail to, she's just misunderstood. Redeemed.
I kind of like when a villain stays a villain.
Like, if you're doing that, well then don't make Dan Stevens shed a bit of light to come around, because you have more franchise material by keeping Abigail as a franchise leading character. Mm-hmm. But you know, Abigail's, you know, cute little girl, curious, you know, little girl, monster, that whole type of thing. Whereas Dan Stevens, if you make him the villain in the end, the final bad guy, he's just an expendable movie limit villain. Mm-hmm. And you can progress however you want into extra material further down the line. So they kill Dan Stevens, and Abigail stays true to her word to let Melissa go.
Mm-hmm. Not before the father, the actual Dracula,
well, apparently, I guess this would be Dracula. I actually didn't expect to see this character.
No, not at all. I thought it was going to be limited very much to Abigail.
And did you know the actor?
I didn't. Now,
did you recognize him?
I didn't initially, but I know him.
Matthew Good.
I know him from Watchmen. Mm-hmm. And if I'm not mistaken, he plays in Watchmen. He plays Ozymandias. And what's interesting is, when I was thinking about this, when I thought, if Dracula was going to turn up, who would I like to play Dracula? And I thought Jeremy Irons, who just so happens to play Ozymandias in the Watchmen TV series. Yeah. So I just thought that was an interesting, just in my own head, a little connection that I made. I'd like it to be him, but they had both played the same character.
So that half count.
Yeah.
Because you committed to the fact that the poorly made fact, well, we want Abigail to be the redeemed villain, misunderstood character with franchise potential. Mm-hmm. So we want to keep that. So we're gonna force Dan Stevens to be the final bad guy, which I think was a mistake. Okay, since you committed to that, I welcome the fact that you bring in Abigail's father, because it would almost be pointless to bring in him if she was dead. Mm-hmm. And okay, so I liked how they're, you know, putting so emotional, rekindling the relationship. Mm-hmm. I didn't realize it was Matthew Good. Like, I recognize him and I see how it was him, but I thought it was David Tennant.
Oh, really?
I thought, is that Doctor Who? Is that David Tennant? Did they go get...
If it had been David Tennant, you would have seen me go, oh my God.
But that's I genuinely thought, oh my God, David Tennant is that David Tennant? And then I let it sink in for a minute, because, you know, I thought he had the same height, same facial design. I thought that was cool. But yeah, Abigail was nice, and well, I didn't appreciate the turn with Dan Stevens' character, because I liked him, but I think I've had time to let him marinate, and I actually did like Abigail, and I actually do like these directors and the type of humor horror they come up with, because
their two Scream films are very, very good.
Yes,
Ready or Not is very good, and then this I think is very good as well. I think that they have found where they are, and I think that they have found a great not new, but a great final girl, and that being Melissa Barrera. I think
she's out. Brilliant. She's now 3 movies. You can count to 3, even though 2 of them are Scream. But hey, they did another one with Samara Weaving.
With
Ready or Not.
Ready or Not. She's great in that. Just Melissa Barrera. Bear with me 2 seconds.
She was in the Heights.
She is in the Heights, but she is in another horror film called Bed Rest.
I've never seen it.
No, it's not as high on the scale in terms of quality. I haven't seen it either, but she is very much nearly making a name for herself within the horror genre, and I'm delighted to see her as kind of the new final girl. It's a shame that she's not going to be in the next Scream film, because she's obviously been let go from that. She was fired from that because of her comments about the Israel-Palestine conflict. But yeah, it's a shame that we won't get to see her continue in that.
Any other thoughts on the actors? Alicia Weir, Kevin Durant, Dan Stevens, Angus Cloud?
I think Alicia Weir was fantastic. I'm really looking forward to seeing more of her.
Adorable little monster. I just want to eat her up.
She's great. I look forward to, even if it's not in something like this, but I just look forward to seeing her going forward, because like that, I've only seen her in this and Matilda. I liked her in both.
I left the cinema watching Matilda.
Well, I hope not for Abigail, because we just talked about it.
Nah, man. Oh, man, I stuck it out.
I'm looking forward to seeing her going forward. And I like that it was a minimal cast.
Yeah.
But a great cast.
Oh, yeah.
Good, genuinely gelled well together.
Yeah, I did appreciate that. Catherine Newton was good as well in this. I liked her. I liked her in this. And of course the passing of Angus Cloud, who was also in Euphoria. That's a shame, because he was actually probably my favourite character in Euphoria. He does not act like the way he does in this. In Euphoria. He's actually a good character. He obviously has the same tone of voice, but he doesn't draw out his pronunciations word by word. But I liked it. This was good. This was good. And Jesus, the fact that you can just get Giancarlo Esposito on, I say he was on for like 2 days of filming, roughly.
Shame we didn't bump into him. Rome and Dublin.
Yeah.
And then the final film then we're going to talk about is The First Omen.
I love this movie.
Yeah, you saw this one by yourself, and when I saw your review, it was like 4.5 out of 5 stars. I was like, really? Wow. Okay,
yeah, really well. So why don't I just provide a little minute to read out what I had to say about The First Omen. So delighted at the craft and care this has towards the identity of the Omen. This is one of the best prequel, executing a great and interesting service to the original, as well as providing valid context to the purpose of the Antichrist. Really liked seeing Nell Tiger Free in something else since M. Night's Servant series, and the Omen franchise is a great fit for her. Gotta remember this director, Arkasha Stevenson. Forgive me if I've mispronounced her name. But in summary, I'm just happy that it's better, let alone superior, to the recent Exorcist shite. I also wanted to give a shout out to that brave one-shot performance Nell Tiger Free delivered. What a gorgeous specimen in a horrible situation. This film should be watched.
So let's talk about that. So,
a prequel to the original 1976 The Omen. I was anticipating that this movie was going to follow Mrs. Baylock, the nanny from the original Omen. I thought the young nun in this movie, played by Nell, was going to be the younger version of the nanny who was taking care of Damien, the Omen boy.
That she was in service of him, as opposed to...
But that she didn't start off that way. She started off as a bright young nun, and by becoming devoted to the religion that this cult follows, I thought it was going to be her. But no. And I'm actually delighted it didn't do that. So, similar to Immaculate, yes, Nell Tiger Free, but this is in the mid-70s. So so in mid-70s in Rome, so there's also protests going on in the backdrop as well, which provide a good environment.
It's interesting, like you said there, it's very easy to compare to Immaculate, but it's not like Immaculate at all.
No.
In that we are obviously following a nun again, in a habit, in another country where they don't speak the language, and then it does result in an eventual pregnancy, but completely different. Immaculate, we start out pretty much the crux is the pregnancy, whereas in The First Omen, it's trying to figure out what's going on, what's wrong with this girl. Was Carolina, is that her name? Carolita, yeah. So it's finding out, why is this girl different? Why is she being locked up?
Yeah, why is she the troublemaker, as informed by the sisters?
And then mysterious things start to happen around her. There's the nun that kills herself.
Yeah, so paying a little homage to It's All For You.
It's all for you, Damien. And then, she jumps off.
Except she doesn't just jump off and hangs herself. She lights herself afire after dousing herself with petrol. And
she's off.
Yeah, so like, if you're going to complain about a prequel or a sequel doing a scene that is just too similar to the original of something, buddy, you've got a list to go through of making the same argument. Yeah. If you're going to pin that out, okay, fine, yeah. It was very much similar.
But I see it as paying homage.
Yeah, it is homage. Yeah. It is paying homage. It's a good thing. It's part of the IP. It's part of the property.
But then, like, having your one in Immaculate fall off the roof, I felt that was paying homage to the Omen as well. Like, you can pay homage to these things that come before, and it's, you know, do it in a different way, but it's still similar.
Yeah.
You know, it's absolutely fine. I didn't have any complaints with it because I felt like, oh, this is par for the course in the Omen world.
Yeah. So we learned that Margaret, played by Nell, was an orphan, and that she had actually a really good relationship with, can't believe they got Bill Nye.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting him at all. I didn't look I didn't look at the cast list. Even when watching the trailer there, we watched it just before filming. I didn't watch the trailer leading up to it either, so I didn't see him in the trailer there. I recognised his voice, obviously, but I had no idea he was going to be in it.
So he plays the Cardinal, and he's supposed to be the fatherly figure to Margaret. And like how Margaret and her roommate, similar to Immaculate, before to take her vows as a nun, she's like enjoying the love of life. You know, she takes Margaret out to the nightclub to have fun, and we're thinking, oh yeah, it's just nuns who, someone who's going to party hard before committing a life to God. That's what we think, and of course, whatever happened to Margaret that night happened. But we later on learn it was a ploy to get her drugged and the guy she hooks up with to be part of the ceremony. That I think we should just reveal it now because we're talking about it, to impregnate her with the son of Satan, and she was mated by the jackal.
Was that it? Okay, the way I interpreted it was that she was a jackal. The way that they explained it to me, I thought that she was a jackal, and they realised that the only way that they could bring forth the Omen was for him to mate with one of his own children. And they were a jackal. So that's how I had conceived it, was that she was a jackal. She didn't know it, but she is, a jackal being the
symbolically or metaphorically jackal.
the daughter of the devil.
But the fact that she was mated with an actual jackal, that actual creature,
that was the devil, was it not?
Was it?
That was the way I interpreted it, was that he was the devil, she was a jackal.
Maybe it
because
was,
that was what the Omen was, that he is the son of the devil and a jackal.
Yes.
Because I'm pretty sure there's a line in it where they say, that the only way that they can bring forth the Omen is for the devil to mate with its own child.
Well, yes, they did say that, but in the original Omen, the priest in that, and we'll get back to that priest in a minute, says that Damien's original mother was a jackal. So I thought, okay, they're playing loose with canon here, which I'm fine with, that the mother was not a jackal, she was a human, she was a woman, and the father was the jackal. I could be wrong in that, and that the jackal creature was a physical embodiment of the devil, and she was a jackal born from, what was it? How was she was sort of created in...
She was a... Maybe, see, now we're getting into like the ancestry of like if the devil and a human, that makes a jackal.
She came across photos of priests and the nun, the lead nun, holding a baby, and the baby has the 6 marks on her head. So Margaret thinks that's Carlita, but she later realizes that she has not only the 3-6 marks in her mouth, but that it's not her. Carlita is not that baby. There's another baby,
and it's her.
It's Margaret. And this is coming towards the final act of the movie, that Margaret was the original created baby to bear the child of the son of Satan, to bear the child of Satan, essentially, and it has to be a boy, and all the others failed. I
think that lends then what I'm saying, because how do you get the mark of the 666? And it's from being the child of the devil,
right?
So I think that she is the child of the devil, and then through the devil and her can the Omen be created, which is the son.
We've been talking a long time. I'm starting to struggle and concentrating.
Yeah.
However, whatever it is, it was executed great.
Yes.
So
it was.
throughout the movie, it does intersplice certain paranoia and visions that Margaret has. So that scene where, remember, she was praying in the bed, and then the curtains being blown in the room by the drapes, and then a vision of the nun standing in the corner, and then there's the other vision where when the riots was happening and they were trying to escape, after she just saw a vision of the nun who burned herself talking to Carolita, and then she gets separated from the rest of the crowd.
Yeah.
And
She thinks that she's being pulled apart.
yes, she pulled it apart. She sees this bald looking, Doug Jones looking motherfucker. And then the close-up shot of the tongue.
The tongue and the hand as well. I don't know if it's in that scene, but yeah, later on the hand.
Oh.
It was a great way of like almost showing you stuff.
Yes.
And it's but what they do show you is creepy enough. You don't need to see every aspect
And what
of it.
they're showing you confirms what is happening and what you suspect is happening. And all the while, great performance from Nell Tiger. I liked how the guy who she was with that night was not all invested in it, and he gets killed in that gruesome moment. And I like how throughout this whole movie you have the quest of Father Brennan, who was played by the brilliant Ralph Ineson. You know this guy.
I know him from The Office. That's where I know him from.
Is he
originally.
from The Office?
He's in the original Office. Yeah, he plays David Brent's friend. But I know him in. He's in Game of Thrones, isn't he?
He was in Game of Thrones. He was one of the guys who knocked Theon Greyjoy out.
Yeah.
But he had a few appearances in the Harry Potter movies, in Star Wars, and Guardians of the Galaxy. But he is in The Witch. He's in the Green. He is the Green Knight. Apparently, he was in The Creator.
Is he in Ready Player One?
Yes, he is.
Yeah, I know. He's Wade's stepdad. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
No, I like him.
And he's got it feels like when he speaks,
His cadence.
His cadence, man, that voice. Why is he not used more? He is capable of more. And I like that he wasn't playing a villainous figure. He was playing a real humble character. Apparently, he is the priest from the original Omen. That character.
Oh, okay.
That's why his character concluded the way he does in this movie.
He's following up. Yeah.
He doesn't die. He tries to pursue prevention of the coming of the Omen. And I didn't realise Charles Dance was in the start of the movie.
I was gonna say, yeah, just when you mentioned Father Brennan, I was like, oh, that opening scene
That
as well
opening
is
scene.
great.
And I like how they foreshadowed how the pregnancy was conducted unnaturally. And they killed that character off, similar to how Father Brennan was dealt with in the original Omen, with the church and the thing coming down. Damn, Bill Nye and Charles Dance in the same movie. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Damn, what a great assembly. But in the end, where they realise that Margaret has the sixes on her head, and I thought she was going to be like become a vessel of being possessed, and a possessed demon who will no longer be the innocent woman that she is. But no, they didn't really go with that. She was taken over physically by that. Again, another great one take performance, because they crashed the car and she literally puts on a performance in a wide shot where
It seems like being possessed.
That
for me felt like it was like the jackal was awakened or something in her.
Yeah,
you know,
maybe. But her
let's say if it's two separate entities within the same body.
Yes,
that was the jackal, whereas she is in control 99% of the time.
Yes,
that was the jackal.
And
but go ahead.
Her water breaking. And
that was crazy. Yeah, was when she kind of fell to her knees, and then it just felt like she was the baby grew right then and there within her.
Yeah,
I did think that, okay, is she gonna be hit by this car now, and then are we gonna have scenes where she's in a coma and she goes through this and she wakes up right at the end and she's 9 months pregnant, and it's like, what the fuck is going on? But no, it was like, no, it's we're doing this now.
Yeah,
and she's all of a sudden 9 months pregnant and she's giving birth, and she gives birth to twins.
I like the reveal. So we're provided the reassurance by Cardinal Lawrence. I actually like Bill Nye and what they did here. He wasn't.
Yeah, actually, talk about this. Yeah,
he was not. Yes, he raised her and protected her and looked out for her with the intent of this is what's going to happen in the time to come. still providing that reassurance, it's all going to be okay. Once this is done, it'll all be over. I won't let anything bad happen to you. He's not a deceitful prick.
No.
He actually genuinely cares. And the birthing scene, which was conducted quite well by going on a dolly shot of looking all the priests and nuns' reactions and just the sound effects. And then, gross. The reveal of the girl and then the boy. Twins.
So you do get that sense when it's the girl. They're like, oh, this was all for nothing. Like,
yeah, and then they're going to kill the baby girl.
Yeah.
No, you see, I like that because it adds more layer to it, I think, if it was just going to be what you expected, Damien. And then so, okay, now she's trying to get the baby and Bill Nye, of course, opens the
well, even before that, I was going to say, you mentioned it in your review, I really liked just the context they give. Why are we birthing the Omen?
So yes, really trying. I'm all over the place in this, but I said this in my review because never have I felt a sub description you'd see on the poster. You know, it's always someone, you know, rise up for what you believe in. No, it's personal. Those type of things.
Yeah.
So the first Omen, its sub description is create something to fear. The fact that the church, which had so much power, is losing it now to the hooligans
modern
society, yes.
So they think, okay, the best way to bring people back
to the church, to have them worship us, is to create something to fear. Literally what the poster says.
Justifies itself in, this is why we're making this film, and it justifies the creation of the Omen.
Yes.
That we're going to say...
It really puts a lot of validity and sustenance and solidifies why this has happened. It's not just happening for the crack because we can make a quick buck. No, it actually puts a lot of gravitas in the ancestry of this story.
And it also then, like, it kind of frames it in a different way, that it's not just a particular sect of, like, a cult that's pretending to be nuns, you know, looking after the Omen. It's very much, you know, that they were gonna, like, bring around the next coming of the Omen. They're bringing around the Omen for the end of the world. No, it's the actual
church.
Valid church.
Yeah, the good guys.
The good guys, in the hopes that if we bring about the Omen, we have such faith in Jesus that Jesus will defeat the Omen and it'll bring people back to the church. It was just a great, like, justification for not only the film but the actual intent, and it adds then, I think, which is great.
Yeah,
it adds to the original trilogy.
If you were to watch the movie and then read that sub description, it's such a great reaction as we had. If you were to read that description first and then watch the movie knowing what that says, create something to fear, it makes so much sense. And like you said, with the church being the one who actually created it, not some Satanist group, it's like the Jedi Council allowing Palpatine to create the Empire so that one day the Jedi can be perceived as the heroes as they, I guess, should be or are in the current timeline of the trilogy, you know. So great thing. Thanks for bringing that up, Dave. I actually really believed wholeheartedly in that. But now we're in the final stage where, okay,
she asked to hold the baby.
Yeah,
that's where we were.
Holds the baby and then kills Bill Nye, kills the Cardinal. What a betrayal I'm sure he felt. But I liked how he wasn't, okay, my dear, you've done your purpose, we're done with you now, we're just gonna leave you
he
here
still
to
cared
die.
for her,
He cared for her. I really like that. I'm sure he liked that as well. I should have asked him that when I might have passed him in
you might have.
I might have passed him in an escalator into the subways in England. Might have been Bill Nye, I don't know. But I just believe that it was him.
Yeah.
But I like how she's actually threatening to kill the baby if they come near her. And her friend, her roommate, who was supposed to be her ally, comes in and stabs her. And what a betrayal that is. And she commits to the cause fully. Like, she isn't this party girl coming in loving the lusts of life to join the church to be a good Catholic nun. No. she believes in the cause that
And
they're
do
going
you think
for.
she did from the start? Like she's the one that brought her out to
Yes,
get her drunk
yes.
to do this.
I think she was in it all along. I think she does convey that villainous look, and of course, then they're gonna take the boy, let the place burn. But then I like how Carlita, the girl who you suspect going into this movie is going to be the problem causer, the demon possessed individual, the one who you're gonna have to fight and defeat, and whether or not you redeem them in the end. I like that she comes in as nothing wrong with her. She was just a troublemaker. There was just a nuisance that wasn't exactly doing what the nuns and the priest wanted her to do. So helps Margaret escape, take the baby girl. The jackal creature burns and dies, and good on it. And then they
was
escape.
that maybe the jackal part of her dying?
Or
I took it as the devil. I took it that was the demonic figure.
Well, whether it was the devil or not, I don't know. But that's the conclusion of that.
Yeah.
Because there is a corpse, a skeleton body of the jackal buried in a graveyard in the original Omen movie.
Yes.
So that's why I believe that was that. But that was implied to be the mother, not the father. So I'm okay with whatever they were thinking in terms of putting their own input in the canon timeline. Obi-Wan did it to the Star Wars movies.
Yep.
So I feel happy knowing that the protagonists escape and survive, and that they don't end horrifically. I like that once they have escaped, we follow, okay, now let's get a sense of satisfaction in what the church is doing with the baby. And
it leads right into the
to tie in isn't it nice to see a picture of a character played by an actor who is long left us, but the character still exists in the time of the movie. Yes. So
that was the thing when they showed that. And what's the actor's name? Gregory Peck, is it?
Gregory Peck, who played Robert Thorne.
Yeah, when they take Damien and they start going, you get the shots of Rome and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh, are they leading this right into the Omen?
Yeah.
And then they give the full description, like, you're going to find the American ambassador. And then they show the photo of him, and I'm like, okay, so this is a true prequel. It's not just we're before the Omen.
Yeah.
No.
It's not like
this is connected to the Omen. Watch this one first.
Yeah.
And then the Omen.
Actually, I don't think you ever should watch a prequel before an original. I don't think ever, because tell me a prequel that's not a spin-off now. Spin-off can be different. Prequel, spin-off can be different. But tell me a prequel that doesn't leave in consequential Easter eggs where if you have watched the original, you know what a certain scene means. Because I believe every prequel does that.
Yeah.
I believe if you watch the prequel after the original of something, you feel more informed. Whereas if you watch the prequel first, then the original, you're going to forget what you missed. And you're not going to think about what you missed. And you're just going to move on to the next one. That's why I think...
Well, what I like about this as a prequel is that it's not... It's... How do I describe this now? Okay, it's not a direct prequel, even though it is, right? And the way that I would describe it is that it's a story based within the Omen series, and it leads directly into the first Omen. The first film, The Omen.
Yeah.
Not the first Omen. But it's not like we are dealing with Solo, where we know the eventual outcomes of Han Solo and Chewbacca, so they are never in danger. Whereas all of these characters, the only one that we know for definite makes it to the first one is Damien.
And Father Brennan.
And Father Brennan. Those are the only two. And Father Brennan isn't even like he's the primary character.
No, he's just a supporting character.
And he's gone for the majority of the film. He comes back kind of in the last act.
Yeah.
So it does really well in telling this story within the Omen world, but there's no point where any character really is safe other than that priest and baby Damien.
I think you should have compared that the first Omen is this movie right here, the one we're talking about, the first Omen that was released in 2024, is the Rogue One to the Omen trilogy.
Yeah.
How's that?
That's fair.
This is definitely the Rogue One as opposed to the Solo movie.
I think Solo is my main go-to when I talk about a bad prequel, because you create scenarios or scenes where characters are in danger where we know they're fine. So for me, there is no danger, because I know Chewbacca doesn't get hit by a cliff, when he's on a train, and then I know he ends up in A New Hope, so he's fine.
I definitely felt...
Whereas with Rogue One, I've never seen any of these characters before. None of them are safe.
You're right too.
And yeah, none of them were safe.
So I did feel the sense of threat and risk and fear for our characters here. And I like how they tied that behind the scenes foul play being conducted by placing Damien into the parenting of the American ambassador. But then we have this nice little epilogue where Margaret is living in a nice quiet country house with Carolita and with her baby, who's now a young toddler. So we have 3 generation spawns of the devil living a quiet life. And then in comes Father Brennan, and she's right to point a gun at him to warn him off, because he's a priest. He's devoted to the security of blah blah blah. So you'd think, are you gonna be a cunt? Or are you gonna be a nice guy?
Yeah.
And he just came to warn. This is a real nice closing, because I got that sense of, okay, bit of a happy ending here. We're not supposed to get that reunion with Damien, because that's not how it goes. Damien's a prick. And we do get that confirmation that they've given him a name. Final shot. Damien. Cut. You don't need another movie.
No, you're absolutely fine in
what
the next film being
the Omen. Yeah, but like I said, you should watch this afterwards, because
I don't need it in between.
Yes, because generally speaking, in our day and age, people become more attached to more modernly made movies. Because if they watch an older movie, they're gonna be immediately bored of that idea.
Yeah, if you're not on board,
yeah,
then you're gonna
reject. They're just gonna categorize it as an old movie, and that's boring. I don't want to do that. Oh, the stupid effects, that's cheap done, which is a poor way of living to watch a movie. But I think this is a nice reward if you were to watch the first Omen movie that was in the 70s, and then watch the first Omen prequel movie. And that's a nice duology. I watched the original in anticipation of this. But,
I should have. I wish I had.
Well, I'm content with that. You can watch the remake with Leah Schreiber if you want.
Well, there's 2 other ones as well.
Yeah, a 2 and a 3, which
it's actually a 4 as well. Did you know?
There is a 4. Yes, I believe I watched it. Yeah, I did. I'm not big on the Omen franchise, but this is a real strong, solid movie. And
it's the most of all of the Omen films. This is the most horror.
Yes.
Those aspects of it,
and that it lent into that, and this is a welcomed addition to the franchise. I think the Omen franchise and the Omen IP has just gotten stronger now as a result of this movie. And it's all the better for it. I think this is my favourite movie of the ones we've just talked about now.
I think of the 3, I would have said maybe Abigail.
Yeah?
Because
favourite?
Yeah, of the 3, but because... Not because either the other 2 are bad in any sense, but more so I just liked the supernatural element more than I did the biblical horror.
Yeah.
But... I did like all 3 films.
I wouldn't be so quick to call Abigail supernatural, because when I think supernatural, I think ghostly figures. I would
put vampires into that.
I would generally as well. I would. But just based on how Abigail was executed, it just feels more monster.
Yeah, well, monster horror then. Yeah. That's
But it doesn't matter. We don't need to give labels. Being right is a lonely life. So yeah, I think that concludes our triple bill of horror.
Yeah, I'm glad that we did this. I think it was a lot of fun. And hopefully we get to shine a spotlight on 3 films that we wouldn't have gotten a chance to because our schedule is so full.
And I'm actually really delighted that we did this, and we don't need to do this all the time, but David, we still have a bit of a year to go, and I'm not going to lie, between the likes of Cuckoo, The Watchers, potentially Long Legs, what else have we got coming out? Speak No Evil, and perhaps The Strangers, part 1 and or 2. I think it suffices to say that we have quite the number of horror movies yet to come out this year, and we can throw Smile in there if we want.
Smile 2, yeah.
Smile 2. Do you see yourself doing another triple bill of horror?
We could
sometime this year.
If the people demand it.
If the movies are good and the people demand it, and we can find a good trilogy, fit the bill. I wouldn't throw M. Night's Trap in a trilogy or something. I wouldn't do that. He warrants his standalone, definitely. So I think we'll get after this one.
Good. Have you got a recommendation before we let people go?
Yeah, another movie that I think we could add to the triple bill horror for another one if we do it. I was in Dublin, and conveniently I forced my schedule to sit down in the cinema and watch Late Night with the Devil.
I'm glad that you recommended this because I've not got a chance to see it.
Yeah.
I saw that you had seen it, and I was like, I really hope Brian recommends this because I'd like to talk to him about it. So
this is the first time we're talking about Late Night with the Devil. David Dastmalchian. He is quite the actor.
Underrated. I'd say he's an underrated actor.
Yeah, you're teasing something.
Nope.
Late Night with the Devil. This is a movie that was just not going to be screened in our area, but when I saw it, it's screened at this time, in this day, and I'm going to give it a go. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, and it's entirely executed in the format of a studio broadcast. So the introduction would be like a preview reel, and then you would have the ongoing live performance, but which is the story, and then you cut the break, and then you'd see what's happening behind the scenes of the few minutes time stricken break. And so it's about this late night talk show host who's trying to rekindle his career to be back on top, comparing himself to a real life talk show host in our life. And so he's hosting quite a lengthy show on Halloween, and he's introduced some horror themes into it, and some spooky moments. So you have the guy who, I'm thinking of a name, thinking of a letter, Madam, Bruce, Brian, Bernardo, one of those guys.
All these kind of fake people, and
then you got another guy who's coming in who's like a proper musician who is trying to identify the cracks in the facades. Who's trying to detect how this is all realistic and there is no spirituality, and how it's all real and man-made. And then you have a crew who like have their little moments, and then there's a woman who has a book about a child who she brings with, and that was probably the crux of the movie. I think the biggest and the most outstanding praise I can give this movie is the sequence of the possession.
Okay.
I don't want to get into it or spoil. I don't know if I've even spoiled it by saying that there is a possession scene in this, but the way they shoot it, and the way they do the makeup, and the way the actor portrays the performance, I think it was so convincing. And actually, I'm gonna creep into my chair and hug myself and
just make sure this isn't real.
Yeah,
I'll go home and watch a cartoon just to make sure it's okay.
I think it's a great watch for Halloween.
Great. Okay.
Sit in the dark room and just snuggle up under the covers and have your snacks and just enjoy the presence of David Dastmalchian. And I really give it all the praise. Definitely worth the watch. It's a shame it's not available in the cinemas near us. But hey, we can only do what we can do.
Yeah. No, I'm glad. Like I said, I'm glad that you got a chance to see it, and it's good enough for a recommendation. So I'm glad of that.
More than good enough than a recommendation. But sure, I recommend stuff that I don't think anyone will watch. You know.
And then I'll recommend Ready or Not. We talked about it a little bit earlier on.
Yeah.
I'm going to recommend Ready or Not because I think that's a genuinely very good film. It's obviously by the same guys that did Abigail, starring Samara Weaving. She is happily married. She just got married day of her wedding. She goes back to the family house of her husband, who own a board game empire, basically.
Yeah.
And
they're filthy rich.
Family tradition is on the night of your wedding, you play a game.
And if you pull the game hide and seek card, you play hide and seek.
You play hide and seek, and we won't say any more of that. But if you liked Abigail, it's not in the same vein, but it's in the same vein. Like they're reminiscent of each other. So,
what did you like more, Abigail or Ready or Not?
Ready or Not.
Which do you think is better?
Ready or Not.
Yeah, probably.
I think so. Yeah,
probably. I think Abigail might have been a little bit more funny.
Yeah, I think so. I think Abigail maybe works better if you don't know anything going into it. If you hadn't seen the trailer.
Yeah.
If it's just on, it's one movie. It's kind of like
a whole lot more than not watch the trailer, David. You can't listen to this episode.
Well, too late. Sorry. It's like, do you know that one From Dusk Till Dawn?
Yeah.
It just is all of a sudden it's a different movie altogether.
Yeah.
I'd put it in that vein. So that's what I'd recommend. But thank you, Brian, for joining me on this triple bill of horror.
Thank you for hosting.
No worries at all, man. You did most of the work, so it's fine. Thank you for joining us. To the audience, for everyone listening at home, we appreciate you. If you made it all the way to the end, you are a star. You're the best. Fair play to you. No, someone said that to you today because I'm saying it. You're the best. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for listening to the whole episode. If you like this episode, make sure to subscribe to us. We are on all your social medias. We are on Instagram, we are on Twitter, we are on TikTok, we are on Facebook, we are on LinkedIn, we are on absolutely everything. You can't get away from us. Make sure that you're subscribed because we have new episodes every single Wednesday and we have a bonus episode every second weekend. So last weekend we released our bonus episode for our favorite Spider-Man villains. We've no episode this week, but it'll be next weekend. Then make sure to check out for the bonus episode where we talk about, I guess you just have to listen to find out what we're talking about. Sorry, I can't spoil it for you.
Yeah. If you really want to find out, you need to literally give us a like on all the TikToks and shorts we've released.
And prove it.
And prove it by commenting.
Yeah.
And if you do that, we will send you an email saying what the next bonus episode is.
Speaking of emails, Brian, thank you for bringing it up. Make sure that you email us any of your suggestions you'd like to hear as bonus episodes. Like we said, we're going to be releasing bonus episodes now every 2 weeks. So any suggestions or anything like that, make sure to send it in if you'd like to hear us talk about anything you have a suggestion for. So that could be, well, don't want to give any away our future ones, but listen to some of our previous bonus episodes. We have like our favorite Spider-Man villains, we had gangster films, we had twists. What other bonus ones did we do? Do you remember?
I think we'll let them do the work and we can close today's episode.
Yeah, okay, just listen back anyway. But yeah, do all that, subscribe, you know the drill. Brian, any final words?
You're a star, David.
You're a star, Brian.